I'm Leslie Ryder from Gal Pal Sports.
And I'm Emily, the other half of Gal Pal Sports.
And I'm Jenna Tonelli. I am not from Gal Pal Sports, but I am from the internet.
Yeah. Honorary Gal Pal, let's be honest.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what we're doing here today is we have gathered to give you a Challenge Cup preview. Jenna's going to kick us off first with her home, the Eastern region.
We've got 4 teams in the Eastern region. We've got NJNY Gotham FC. We've got last year's NWSL champions, the Washington Spirit. We have the North Carolina Courage, and we have the Orlando Pride. So each of these teams on any given day in the NWSL could win. And that's the great part about the Chaos Cup. So here's my personal prediction of who I think might win or not and why. So Washington Spirit, obviously the champions last year. Not a ton of team turnover in the off season. And they had the most number of national players come from their squad for the last few games, she believes, Cup and the 2 games down in Australia. The reason why they might struggle a little bit, it is their first full season with their new head coach, Chris Ward, who might take the Challenge Cup to try out some of his own Michigas on the team, so to speak. So we might see them messing around with some new ideas, some new formations. Who knows? Whenever a new coach comes in, that's always something you have to look at. Some interesting and fun players to watch on that team is obviously Trinity Rodman. Also, we've got stalwart in the midfield, Andy Sullivan. And then we've got the Ashleys, Sanchez and Hatch, who are going to definitely add some goals to that team. So next, we have Gotham FC. Obviously my hometown team. They did have some turnover in the offseason, but their starting 11 stayed largely intact. And last year they made it to the final and they only lost in penalty kicks to the Portland Thorns. A reason that they might not win is just like with the Spirit, they have a head coach who, while did have some time with the team last season, it is Scott Parkinson's first full season as a coach, and he might be looking to shake things up. I do personally think that this group is going to come down to Spirit and Gotham, and a fun fact is that Gotham never lost to Spirit in the regular season last year. Obviously Gotham cool. Has Midge Purse, so if she's healthy, we're going to be getting some goals from her. Christy Mewis creating those chances in the midfield, and we've got some added defensive depth with bringing in Allie Krieger and Ellie Jean to the mix.
So Gotham FC, is that your favorite team?
I've heard of them. So Orlando Pride. I think this is the team that people are counting out, but what's interesting to me about the Pride is even though they're kind of in this rebuild right now, no one really knows what to expect from them. And that wild card factor could prove interesting in this group. However, on the flip side of that, they are in a total rebuild. They did lose a lot of major players. Alex Morgan, obviously being the biggest name that comes to mind. And they have a new coach who spent no time with the team last year, unlike Chris Ward and Scott Parkinson. So she's going to really, really have to use this time to build up her mark on the team. But Orlando Pride still has obviously Sid LaRue. They still got Marta. They still got Courtney Peterson. And they have some exciting young talent. They have the 10th overall draft pick, Caitlin Cosme, who could prove really interesting on their back line. And then we've got the NC Courage, obviously dynasty team, championship mentality or underdog mentality, depending on who you ask. Got Casey Murphy, one of the best goalkeepers in the league and probably the next starting U.S. women's national team goalkeeper. They also are in a bit of a rebuild like the Pride. They have a new coach, Sean Nahas, who did, again, spend some time with the team last year, but this is his first full year. And they're still building a bit of team chemistry. I think they also lost Lynn Williams, Sam Ewis, Kristen Hamilton. So they really, I think, have to build that team chemistry. So my overall predictions is in 4th place, Orlando Pride. In 3rd place, North Carolina Courage. In 2nd place, Washington Spirit, and in 1st place, Gotham FC. I know it's a little controversial, and I also wouldn't be surprised if either Gotham or Spirit, if they flip 1 and 2, that one of them is the 2nd highest performing team getting into the playoffs. And it kind of feels like a Gotham thing to do, to be honest.
It does feel like a Gotham thing to do.
Just sneak in there.
Yeah. I am really excited about that Mewis purse connection. Like that's gonna be
and
real fun to watch.
we saw a bit of that in
We
the She
did.
Believes Cup. So
Cannot wait to see it in this league. It's gonna be fun. And now we go to the Central Division, Group 2, if you will. I call it the Midwest Division, but we also have Houston in there, so they can hang out, I guess, if they want. Okay, so starting with we're gonna start with Racing Louisville. They're weird, guys. They have had an interesting off season. They lost Savannah McCaskill. They lost Yuki Nagasato to back to Chicago, so that's going to be fun. They waived the rights to Michelle Betos for reasons I will never understand. And they lost the rights to Kristen Press, or traded those away. So we've kind of got an interesting thing starting here. We've got Jalen Howell and Savannah DeMello, defense, youth, love it. Got a lot of energy there. And up top, we've actually got a really interesting combo of Jess McDonald, Ebony Salmon, and eventually, she's currently out, I think, but is on the preseason roster, Nadia Nadim. So there's some really interesting stuff brewing there. Louisville's still a very young team. This is only their second season around. So I'm curious to see what they can build on. If we're going for vibes, genuinely, the vibe for Louisville is just weird. I don't know what to expect from them, but I think we're going to learn a lot in this first Challenge Cup game, during which they're going to play Kansas City, who came into the league at the same time, also in this group 2. Kansas City is the one I'm most eager to see play and see what's happening. They seem to be building something really cool there, and I want to believe for myself, but also just for the league, that the kind of investment that it seems that they're making in the team over there does actually lead to results. So Kansas City, didn't do great last year. They lost one of the biggest players that has been kind of with this franchise for a while, A-Rod. But in the offseason, they picked up Sam Mewis. They got Lynn Williams. They've got AD Franch now. They picked her up last season. They've got a new crest. They've got a new stadium. They're making investments in building a whole new stadium and training center. Like, the vibes there are like optimistic, and we're excited. And even reading interviews with players, they're excited to be in this group. They're excited to build something here. And I think that momentum is going to actually carry them pretty far. Okay, so next we have Chicago Red Stars, who lost their coach, if we're going to put it nicely, Rory Danes, after allegations of abuse within the organization at the end of last season. So we've got a new coach. We lost a lot of players, partially due to requests to leave the team because of the issues at play. But they did make it to the finals last year against Washington Spirit. So it's kind of a tough spot. They have consistently made the playoffs 6 straight times in NWSL history, but they've never won. And so what we've seen in the past is kind of a lack of finish. And I am afraid to say I don't think that's going to change this year. I think they really need to do some soul searching, some rebuilding. They've lost a big chunk of their defense with Sarah Gordon going out west, and Kate C. Kruger is out pregnant. And then we've also just got, some front office issues where there have been calls for owners to leave. We've got a new coach. Things are still a bit hectic. I think there's some hope maybe in the return of Yuki Nagasato and her linking up with our friend Mal Pugh up top. Maybe there's some magic there, but I don't think it's going to be enough to really, make progress in this cup. Unfortunately, I think this may be a down year for them. And our last team in the region is the old Houston Dash. And I never really know what to make of the Houston Dash. James Clarkson, I believe, is the only NWSL coach from last year to retain his position through this year, which, maybe that's a leg up that we didn't see coming. But at least, he gets to build, and there's maybe a little less chaos there. So we've got a huge get right at the end of last season of Maria Sanchez. She's definitely going to make an impact on this team. And then you've got a great group of support in the midfield and up top with Shea Groom, Sophie Schmidt, and Nichelle Prince. And if that group can all combine, I think we might see some cool stuff. And we're not even talking about, you know, the fact that they actually went to Mexico City and, you know, played some games in buildup. So they've been really trying to build this group, and I think get them into a good headspace going into this tournament. And I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. So my standings for this group, here's my prediction. No, I don't feel good about it. In fourth, the Chicago Red Stars. I don't like it. Of this group, they've been pretty much the best in past seasons, but I think just with the turmoil there, if they're going to find success, I don't think it's going to be this early in the season. I think they're going to take time to build, unless their friend own goal shows back up. Who knows? Has anyone heard any trade rumors there? With
It's been quiet. It's been pretty quiet.
Okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure. All right, third, I have Racing, or shall I say Racing Louisville, in honor of the tallest man in NWSL media, Andre. Again, I don't think it's going to be perfect and all the pieces are going to be put together in time for the Challenge Cup, but I think they're going to keep building. Second place, I have Houston Dash. They've done well in the Challenge Cup before. They are interesting to watch. They've lost Christy Mewis though, and I think that's going to hurt things a little bit. I think it's really going to depend on this, you know, standing group of like Sophie Schmidt and Shea Groom to kind of set a standard and get some of these new folks up to speed pretty quickly about how they play at the Houston Dash, assuming we're sticking with the same system. And then up top, I love an upset, I love an underdog, but I also just really love the energy that the Kansas City Current are bringing in. So I'm gonna put them up top. I think they've got the personnel. I think they've got the optimism, or like, you know, a good energy going. And I think that can take you a long way in a preseason tournament. All right, Leslie, you ready to cover our old home, the Western region?
yeah. Speaking of vibes, let's get to the West Coast. So the Western Division, we have the Cascadia rivalry of the Portland Thorns and OL Reign, and we have the new kids, San Diego Wave FC and Angel City. Two completely different sets of teams, two different expectations, I would think. Starting from the bottom and working our way up, we have San Diego Wave, who are new, building from scratch. We have, you know, we're starting off with Alex Morgan, Abby Dahlkemper, the new draft pick, Naomi Gurma from out of Stanford. Midfielders, not so much, kind of just running on a send the ball and hope it goes in the net. Just kind of keeping our expectations low for San Diego. Just kind of keeping it measured, keeping it low. They've got the brand new manager in Casey Stoney, who is an excellent name in the sport. But she is brand new to the NWSL side, so it'll be interesting to see how she adapts to the fast transitional style that the game is known for. I don't think it's going to go very well for San Diego Wave. I'm sorry to say. It's a brand new team, and they're kind of just getting to know each other. And I think they'll kind of finish in the bottom of that division, and I'm comfortable saying that. I'm comfortable saying that out of the expansion teams, they're going to finish down there. Moving on to Angel City, the game-changing, barrier-breaking, technologically advancing team of the future that we've had for the last 2 years. I'm still keeping my expectations low, but obviously the pressure is going to be on because they've spent 2 years just drumming up these expectations, and on social media and out in the world, they've been putting out the promise that, we're going to build a winning team from day one. And I think they're on their way to doing it. They had a really good expansion draft. They made some really good trades. They got Kristen Press to come back from Manchester and make her way back to the NWSL to score some golazos again. And I, for one, am happy to see that. They brought Freya Coombe from Gotham in a bit of a controversial transaction. I would say a little bit controversial. I think it'll be very exciting to see what comes from the roster she's created. I think a lot of folks are expecting her to play that front three that she did at Gotham. So we'll probably see Simone Charlie and Kristen Press and perhaps Savannah McCaskill or Jasmine Spencer up top there. And I think that's just, it's like, good luck catching them. Good luck. So I think they really could make a run for, it. They really could. But I want to keep my expectations low. I do, because they're a new team and they've had like 5 minutes to play together. Moving on to our rivalry pals, we have the Portland Thorns, the proud defending Challenge Cup champions, the winners of the Supporters Shield. Remember the name, Portland Thorns. They're also in a bit of a transition, it turns out. They lost Simone Charlie. They've lost Lindsay Horan to Lyon out on loan. And they kind of built a whole system around her. So it's going to be tricky. And we're also working with a new coach. We're working with a new GM. We still have the stalwart Christine Sinclair. We have Sophia Smith and we have Morgan Weaver. So it's going to be interesting to see how the youth take up the mantle and take up the fight. I think they can do it. They have the ability, but I do think it's going to be a bit of a transition year for the Thorns. So I don't necessarily think they're going to run the table the same way that they did last year. So I'm gonna say they're gonna come in second. It's gonna be a second place finish for the Portland Thorns, and not the good kind. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs for the Challenge Cup. So that brings me to Ol Rain, who came in second place in the table last year. They lost in a devastating semifinal game to the Washington Spirit. They're in an interesting place. They retained a lot of their talent. We still have the MVP, Jess Fishlock. We still have the perennial Golden Boot candidate, Bethany Balser, on the team. Laura Harvey's going to be on the manager's the manager's pulpit in the manager's shoes, sitting on the cooler from the start of the season. So I do like Ol Rain's chances. You got Sofia Huerta, you got Alana Cook, you've got a strong backline. I think Ol Rain's tired of being the bridesmaid to the Portland Thorns. I think they're ready to take up the champion title, and I think they're going to win the Challenge Cup.
You think they're going to win the whole Challenge Cup?
I say the challenge is accepted, and they're going to win the Challenge Cup.
They're going to win the whole Challenge Cup.
Yes.
Go. I like this prediction. I like this boldness from you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Emily, who do you think's going to win the whole cup?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't know we were going to decide this.
We're doing a Challenge Cup preview. You didn't think we were just gonna be a prediction?
You know, I didn't expect to get this far. No, I think actually, so I'm gonna count my group out because I love that they're my group. I do, but it's a lot of underdogs and a lot of turmoil, which I get. So group anxiety is out, and they're
just happy to be here.
They're here. They're just getting their feet under them. You know, they're gonna be okay. Yeah. We're gonna be okay, guys. I think I'm going Gotham. I think for me it comes down to Gotham and Ol Rain, Ol Rain. You know, Portland's always knocking on that door. I think that last four though is going to be really interesting. If it could come down to four from any group, you know, if this was structured differently, I would potentially see it as Washington Spirit, Gotham, Portland, Seattle. Not Seattle, but yeah, we know what I mean.
Although I guess, you know, they are back in Seattle.
Are they back in Seattle?
Yeah, they are. Lumen Field.
Great. Can't wait I'm sticking with Seattle then. the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, Seattle Reign. What about you, Jenna? Who is winning the whole thing for you?
I agree with you. Actually, I do think it's going to come down to Ol Reign or Gotham, especially considering what we just talked about. If we have, let's say, Gotham and Spirit finishing 1 and 2 in some way, them moving forward, Ol Reign moving forward, and Kansas City moving forward, it definitely, I think, comes down to Ol Reign or Gotham. And my heart is always with New York.
It is.
So I got to go Gotham.
I mean, that's fair. Leslie, is your heart not with New York?
Listen, my heart is with New York, not New York, New Jersey.
Yeah, fair.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. I guess we'll allow it. All right. Thank you guys for doing this. Any last words? Any last notes?
Go Challenge Cup.
Go Challenge Cup.
I hope it looks cool this year.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I want everyone, listen, I manifested the hash flags on Twitter. I manifested that. So we all have to do hashtag cue the chaos. That's the Challenge Cup hashtag. So you get the little icon next to it. So let's use that hashtag. Let's show them that investment was absolutely worth my manifesting and their money. And let's have a good time. Thanks for tuning in to the WoSo Collective.